Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Diversity is Lit Book Club. We are here to discuss our July Disability Pride Month book pick, which is Love from A to Z by S.K. Ollie. So we will be talking all about this book, including spoilers. So if you're okay with hearing spoilers or you read the book, feel free to keep watching. If you don't want to hear all of the spoilers, then save this and watch us when you're done so you can join in the discussion. But we'll be talking about our thoughts, feels, and opinions on the book, giving our rating. So feel free to drop in your thoughts, feels, and opinions in the comments as we go, or if you're watching the replay. But I will introduce myself really quickly. My name is Holly. I love to read all genres, but right now I am an author of a YA fantasy called A Diamond Bright and Broken, which will be releasing November 5th, 2024. This is the hardcover version, which is like so beautiful. The inside has an embossed cover, embossed case, shiny diamond. On the other side is this emblem that you will find out what that is. We've got a map and an exclusive chapter in the hardcover version. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you can pre-order down below. And as always, I'm excited to talk about this book. I will have my co-hosts also introduce themselves, and they are linked down below, so please give them a follow as well.
Hi everyone. I'm Vanessa. Go by Vanessa Read Books on all my platforms. I am a fantasy, horror, and paranormal writer. Also write a little bit of poetry and nonfiction. Do diversity reading and editing. All the million different pieces. So,
Jack of all trades.
Pretty much. And now getting into web design. So
cool.
Let's say Jack of all trades, master of many trades as well.
Hi, everyone. I am Heather Venkat, also known as Venkat on the internet, and I am a fantasy and contemporary writer, as well as an avid reader of all genres.
Yay! We might have another guest co-host pop in, but we're not sure. But yes. But Cool Gamer is here. Hello, Cool Gamer. Welcome. So I gave my disclaimer for the spoilers. I will also read off the list of trigger warnings. In Love from A to Z, there is racism, Islamophobia, xenophobia, racist microaggressions, death of a loved one in the past, mentions of rape/honor killings, discussions of victims of war, drone killings, and cultural appropriation. So, yeah, that is in this book. I also wanted to add, I put in the, so our main hub is on Goodreads, and we have forums for each of the monthly books. And I did post this morning a link that I found. There is a novella of Adam and Zainab. So I am going to post that. I should post it in the actual YouTube video too, but there is a link where you can get a free ebook novella called the Aid Gift. I believe it's Aid.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Okay. Sorry if I am not pronouncing that correctly. But yeah, so our very first question is, what are your general overall thoughts on the book? What would you rate it on Goodreads or the platform that you like to rate your books on? Okay, let me make sure that it's here now. Okay, yes, it is now in the description below. Oh, and then also to mention that we picked this as our Disability Pride Month pick because it has a character with multiple sclerosis in it. Yes, I can go first. So I gave this book a 4 out of 5. With all of the trigger warnings and everything, they made me feel those trigger warnings very much. There were some very strong feelings about some very, many of the characters, from teachers and people who, were very blatantly racist, that, made me feel a lot of strong emotions. So I feel like S.K. Ollie did a really good job of showing that and how, and what her characters did with those situations. And I know we'll go into more detail with that. But because it was our Disability Pride Month pick, I was really interested in the MS, that's multiple sclerosis for short, the whole MS piece of it, because I've never read a book with a character with MS. So those were the parts that I found the most fascinating, because I really wanted to know how Adam was navigating that situation. So his arc was the most interesting to me, and I really liked him as a character because he was kind of more of a cinnamon roll, and Zainab was more of the feisty justice seeker. So I did like that they had that kind of yin and yang. But so the story was a love story. That's the first line is wait, where is it? Oh shoot, I thought this was the first line. Because literally, but it was
before they start. Yeah, this is a love story, you've been warned. It's
yes.
The first page.
Oh, here it is. Okay, sorry, I skipped it. Yeah, this is a love story, you've been warned. Yeah. I went straight to the first chapter and I was like, wait, where is it? I know that's the first line. So this is a love story, you've been warned. And that part I felt was a little bit weaker for me in terms of the romance piece of it. I did like that it wasn't insta love, and so it was very slow. So that's why I'm glad there's this little novella that I read is a little bit more okay, they're more into their relationship. So there's not spicy, but it's a higher level of spice than this book was. But so that's what I would like to see that develop more. But yeah, so I feel overall I really enjoyed the book. And it'd be interesting to see in the novella if they still have those pieces of Adam's MS, come through in that story. Whoever wants to go next.
You want to go?
Yeah, I can go. I did enjoy this story. I listened to the audiobook version of it, which I enjoyed because they had different voice actors for Adam and Zainab, and I felt like they really fit the characters well. So I enjoyed it, and it was really easy to follow, easy to get through. And I felt everything that you want in a story had with the pacing and description. And I thought that the writing was strong. I agreed with Holly that I was a little bit, I do feel the love story part of it kind of fell flat, because for me, I felt they were like, oh, like he's cute, and like, oh, like she's cute and stuff, and they were kind of like liking each other and having interactions. But I felt the way that it was building on itself didn't, I don't know, it just didn't like
Land.
it didn't land. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's exactly how to describe it. So it just felt a little bit like I felt a little bit disconnected from the love story part of the characters, even though I felt connected to each character themselves, which I thought was really interesting. How I liked how the author had a character who was Muslim, like kind of grew up in that world, and one who like converted at an early age, so kind of to see that like juxtaposition, and but I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, so it was still solid for me for sure.
Okay, so as I kind of figured I probably would be, I'm the odd one out. I did not care for this one at all.
Oh no.
Yeah. If I'm being honest, I gave it a generous 3 stars because I know like how important the rep is for a lot of people, and it's not a bad book. It's just not one for me. I would not have picked it up if it wasn't for the book club, and I don't feel like I would have been missing anything because I was bored for just most of it, and for me the pacing was slow. There wasn't much really happening enough to keep me engaged. The only storyline I was kind of interested in was with Zainab and her teacher, and what was going to happen to him, which you don't get very much of that. It's like sparsely throughout the story. And so I'm just like, it's okay, just not for me. I'm not really a contemporary romance reader anyway. And so, with the romance, I know for you, Holly, you said you didn't think it was insta love. I still felt it was kind of insta lovey, because they known each other for like a week, 2 tops, and so for me, I'm like, yeah, a bit quick, especially considering most, at least for Zainab, most of that time, her the romance for her was purely based on his attractiveness, and didn't really have much else to go on that, except that she thought he was cute, he liked her, and he's not a douchebag. That's literally what she told her friend. I'm like, okay, so our standards are pretty much in hell. So yeah, I can see why people would like it, but it wasn't for me.
I feel like with the romance piece of it, that fell flat. Like maybe it was not that the story was doing too much, but that, I mean, there was a lot going on in the story, and there were a lot of, like there was a lot going on with their arcs that then the romance was trying to connect the two of them. And like Heather was saying, like, oh, I liked them both individually. And I think that was a fair statement. But yeah, and I feel like the Insta thing, like, you know, because they weren't like, you know, hooking up, telling each other that they loved them, like we see a lot. It was kind of more of this like crushy type thing.
Yeah.
And it, you know, did seem like it was more lusty from Zainab's side, whereas Adam was like, hey, like he knew for a long time that she had the Marvels and Oddities notebook and she didn't know. Like, and he's like, oh yeah, I saw you on the plane. And she's like, what? And so it was like he had more depth to his intrigue, I guess. Which is why, like, yeah, that resonated with me a little bit more. But I think that was hard, like her going away to her auntie's, like, but still being like wanting to take down Fencer, and then all of this other like Islamophobia and racism happening around her, like even then still. And then you know, so there was just a lot happening that I think it couldn't be as strong of a potential as it could have been.
You just reminded me, I didn't write this down, but I thought of it when the scene happened, and it just came back to me. What could have connected them and what I really wanted to happen was when he had fallen and couldn't get up and he reached his phone. If he had his if Zainab was the one who was contacted and not it being like his
uncle,
his aunt or uncle, or
it was his uncle, right?
His uncle.
Well,
and then his uncle texted Zainab back. He was like, "Oh, can you read out the can you read out what she had texted me and stuff like that?" And I feel like that could have really connected them, because then she would have found out and she would have been like, whoa, you like trusted, you called me first? Why did you call me first? Then they could have really woven those threads together a little bit stronger, but that didn't happen.
That's a really good point. Wow. Yeah. I made a note with that where it was at like around the 40% mark was when Adam had his like the symptoms of MS, like his flare up. Because I don't know like what, I don't think they ever mentioned like what he had before to like get the diagnosis, because he was kind of very cryptic with it up until like the 40% mark. And like when he went to the doctor and it was like the tingling and blurry vision, and they were kind of just like the pieces of what they were saying, I wish they had explained it a little bit more at that time for the people that like didn't know what MS was, because it would be good learning opportunity. But also I was just like, oh, it took like till 40% for like, not like for something to happen, but like I just really wanted to understand him more, and I knew that was going to come through this arc of him dealing with these symptoms.
I thought his MS, I don't know if there is, I don't know much about MS, so I don't know if there's like a genetic component to it, but that's kind of what I felt like, since they said his mom had it too, and that's what she passed away from, and now he's diagnosed with it. So I thought maybe there's like a genetic component to it. But yeah, I don't, as far as what might have triggered it to start now, that would have been good to know.
It's not directly inherited from parents to children, but genetics play a role in the disease.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like a genetic risk. Yeah, but like usually they would confirm it with like an MRI to show like a lesion in the brain. There's probably other things I don't know all about MS and like how they diagnose it, but
because that was also another layer, now that you mention it, Vanessa, that that they added, because it wasn't just that he was dealing with the condition and everything like that, but he's also dealing with the fact that he lost his mom to the disease, and that so he had a lot, I think, to explain why he acted the way he did, where he didn't really want to tell his dad and didn't want to scare other people, and I did write down when Zainab was like, MS is his truth to tell, which I thought was pretty powerful, because she saw how much it meant to him to like that it wasn't just completely out in the open for everyone to know, because of how I feel like how afraid he was. I don't know if it was because he was afraid that the same thing would happen that happened to his mom, or for whatever reason. But I think that added another layer of complexity to him as a character, and how he interacted with his family.
Yeah, and that was I liked that part of his arc, like that he was, that he eventually did tell his dad, and he was like afraid of what was to come, like because he didn't want to have to tell his dad and have him like what he thought was going through the same thing that he went through with his mom. But I thought it was cool that like Zainab was cool with it and was supportive of him, and was like, there's nothing wrong with it, So her strength helped him.
Until she revealed in his face that he was too chicken to tell his dad.
Yeah.
That fight. That
felt unnecessary.
It did. She's spicy, but that was a little that was too much.
That was harsh. Yeah.
Especially since she Adam was just trying to listen to her and give his perspective, and that was the moment where it made me realize that Zainab is the type of person that I don't think she would ever like really have friends that she could disagree with, or people in her life that she could disagree with and still care about, because it seemed like it was very much of with her, it was kind of like, you gotta see things my way and have the same opinion as me and view things how I'm viewing them. Otherwise, I don't want nothing to do with you. And we see that with the fight and the way she treated Adam in that moment, because he had a slightly different view on the situation than she did. If she automatically was like, okay, we're from two different worlds, this isn't going to work, bye. Pretty much. And so, you know, it would have been nice to see, like, yeah, she did apologize later on towards the end, but it would have still been nice to see her grow from that mentality and realizing that, like, you don't always have to agree with everyone in order for you to be friends or care about them, especially when, like, he was making really valid points. You know, he had made some valid points, especially considering he didn't know the situation firsthand. He doesn't know anything about her teacher. So he was going off of, his character kind of wanting to see the best intentions out of everyone. And so I think he was going off of that assumption. And that's probably why he was like, well, maybe, he wanted justice for the girl too. Which she just took that as like, no, he didn't. He just wanted an excuse to be bigoted. So yeah, I think, there wasn't, I feel like she kind of had very black and white thinking, and there wasn't too much nuance in her thinking with Zainab. And I think there was something else I was going to say about that scene. I'm trying to see where my notes are.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, so during that scene, when she looks at him and says, "You're falling for Fencer's tricks, and you're not even sitting there in his class." And one, I was thinking, okay, what tricks exactly is he falling for, or that you think he's falling for, not being in this class? But I also liked when down a couple paragraphs down, where when she is about to leave and he tells her, why do you get to decide what injustices to call out and what not to call out? And so that was a pretty good point I think he made there, because it's like she was just so focused on him, the teacher's injustice of, like, wanting to portray Muslims in this negative light, that she wasn't even willing to really acknowledge the injustice and atrocity that happened to the girl in the article that they had to talk about.
Yeah, I did feel like there was that opportunity there for her to kind of explain things more instead of her just kind of attacking him, because it's like he doesn't know the teacher, he doesn't know all of that information. Like, I don't think he knew at that point that she had been did he know that she had been suspended at that point? Yeah, and so it's like, she's getting all mad, but it's like, I don't blame him for reacting the way he did, like, whoa, whoa, kind of thing. And it's like, and she kept just getting more upset, and I'm like, give him some slack, like I did feel like she overreacted for sure.
Mhm.
But you know, I don't know if this is how like the author reacted to things, because at the end, you know, she talks about how she wished a lot of the scenarios that she writes about in the book were not kind of based on real life experiences, but she says they
Right.
were, especially like the education pieces. So maybe she felt very strongly about it, and that's why it came across that way in the book.
Mm,
But
yeah.
Yeah, and I get, feeling strongly about, being treated unfairly and having all those microaggressions he did towards her. Um, I get all of that, but at the same time, it's, not fair to take that out on someone else that has nothing to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
No, I think that's fair. I think a lot of Zainab's kind of like, I mean, and thinking about like the structure of story structure and everything. Yes, a lot of things wrap up near the end, but I feel like um, you know maybe there were some like things like Zainab had to learn a lot like right at the end, like where she was still um you know trying to get at Fencer, and when her mom visited, saw her and was like, "You're still on about this? Like, I thought you were supposed to learn by coming here. Like, you're still doing this." And so and so maybe that's why like all these other parts kind of got a little muddled too, because there was just a lot of, like we said, there's a lot in here, so there was just a lot of lessons that she needed to learn too, that maybe then it wasn't wrapped up quite as nicely as it could have been.
Yeah.
But, um
At least he gets outed at the end, and
yes, I'm very
and
very
everyone
about
like
that,
walks out of his class and stuff.
Spencer was the worst. Yes. I'm glad he got his just dues. Oh yeah, we haven't talked about Auntie.
Oh yeah.
Yet. I loved her because she was like kind of that yin to Zainab's yang too, where she was like, well, no, this is how we're gonna approach this like swim attire situation, like standing up to like the pool guy. I was so happy because that scene got me so mad. But she's like, no, she is in the proper, we are in the proper swim attire. And stood up to him and showed her that like, yes, you can still like fight and have the justice that you want without like getting into trouble too.
Yeah. But it's interesting how like they kind of say at the end that she's doesn't she go on to study law?
I think so.
Like
I think something criminal justice or
definitely fitting.
Oh my gosh, yes.
human rights.
Yep.
Yeah. which is interesting. She says it ends with her wanting to study human rights because there's a part hold on, let me look for it.
Oh wait, does Zainab get a political science degree?
So,
This is
I don't think it says.
there are 4 ways of far away togetherness with brief, exhilarating glimpses in between getting a political science degree at Northwestern, Zainab, and working on 6 art installation projects around the Middle East, Adam, and through visits to MS support groups, Adam and Zainab.
huh.
So like maybe with her political science degree, she goes on to work in human rights.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think so.
Oh, here we go. I need to be done with that now that I was starting law school in the fall. Oh,
Yes.
and okay, so we were right. Okay.
Where is that?
Yeah, that page 334, Zainab. So like the second to last page. Yeah, I needed to be done. Where is it? I was okay seeing things through my own eyes, not defensively, the way people who hate saw me. I was done with that. I needed to be done with that now that I was starting law school in the fall. I would be studying the only thing I wanted to know the most about, human rights for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so she was going on law school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess there was a time jump then.
Yeah, because then I was like, I think I missed this on page 332, because where it said that she got her political science degree at Northwestern, then it says, then they met for real. Heart, soul, and body, the summer of their Katel Kitab, the summer they exchanged their vows after a short engagement. Wait, kind of missed that. Yeah, so didn't that was also fast, I guess. I totally didn't even realize that. Wow.
Trying to find what I was looking for. What's that?
And I'm just like, where they go? I basically have to close my eyes.
Oh, here it is. Okay. So this was going back to what I was saying. Where I was like, it's interesting. She's studying human rights and stuff. Because on page 125, on the top of the page, where it says, there's also another kind of hate from people, mostly from women who are into white feminism, who think they're helping Muslim women by finding this way of dressing oppressive. They act like if they quote unquote free us from our religious teachings, which they believe they've become quote unquote smart enough to figure out are oppressive, then they are saving us. And I had read that part and I was thinking, and this is another thing that I was kind of thinking throughout the novel, the story, is there's not really much nuance in here. especially from Zainab's perspective, which I think goes back to the whole black and white thinking. There's not very much nuance, because when I read that, I was thinking, okay, so you do not find this way of dressing, wearing the hijab, oppressive to you. That does not mean other Muslim women do not find it oppressive, because I've seen plenty of Muslim women and ex-Muslim as well talk about how oppressive it is, and how having to feel like you have to wear the hijab, and even seeing women getting killed because they don't. There was like I forget, someone was talking about one woman an Iranian woman who, because she just had a few hairs showing out of her hijab, they literally beat her to death. So you can't say it's not oppressive for everyone. It may not feel oppressive to some, especially, I think, the other thing is, I think, because Zainab is from the U.S., grew up in the U.S., she has the privilege of not feeling that oppression.
Because she chose to wear hijab.
Right. And it's not like there's any laws forcing her, like in some other countries. There's nothing to say if she doesn't wear it, she will be, beaten or anything horrible done to her because of that. And I think her privilege growing up as an American Muslim kind of blinded her to see that it can be oppressive. Islam can be oppressive to some other people, depending on where you live and how strict the laws are.
I'm really, really glad you brought that up. Yeah, because that was one of the scenes that I had bookmarked, because I was like, oh, she's like, yeah, hijab does not necessarily mean more Muslim-y. It could mean more Muslim-y, and it could mean not more Muslim-y. And then she's like, well, and I thought I was like learning this thing here, where she's like, yeah, it's just like any other item of clothing to cover yourself. Like, no one asks ask people who wear pants to school, why do you have to cover your legs? No one makes a big fuss when there are mall entrance signs that says shirt required. No one acts like that's oppressive. So wait, if a headscarf is just another item of clothing, why is there so much controversy around it? And then goes to that paragraph that you said. So I was like, oh wow, like this was a really impactful scene for me. But hearing you say that, I'm really glad that you said that, because it's through Zainab's privileged lens of having the choice.
Yeah.
And I don't want to discount that.
No.
I don't want to discount the fact that, this story, this book has been so positive for a lot of Muslim readers. When I looked at reviews of this, I saw a lot of Muslim readers who were happy with the representation and glad to see the representation in here, especially that it was positive representation, obviously, not negative, which I'm glad they have that. But this is also why I was thinking there lacks some nuance, because it's not a positive experience or thing for everyone
Hmm.
in it. So yeah, I'm actually gonna I'm looking up the I think article, or so I'm gonna see if I find it, and put the link into the chat.
Yeah, if it won't let you share it, you can put it in the private chat and I'll add it. Or if you comment, I can add you as a moderator and then you could add links.
Okay, let me. So you guys can go on while I look for it real quick.
Yeah.
No, I think it's good to know that there's like it's not as black and white as what is on here. Everyone has their own experiences.
Yeah. You know, and that is a good point, because at the end she does mention, you know, using sensitivity readers, having you know, others read it for the Muslim, or, you know, I guess like for the Islamic part and also the MS part. So, you know, I'm wondering, you know, who she had reached out to, or if there were other like opinions on things. But it's like she even says like her husband had converted to become a Muslim when like he was 9 years old, and but she even talked to like Canadian or like Asian, the people of Asian backgrounds who converted to like,
the representation of converts of Chinese backgrounds, as Adam and David are.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, I liked that she had that in here too.
But it's important to acknowledge that there's other viewpoints and other
I was just going to say, with the, you know, the Islamophobia, that very first scene with the plane, like I was so upset because I watch Darman videos, and Darman is a popular YouTuber who like has inspiring like videos where they're like short, like, you know, scenes with like actors and stuff, and like, oh, this person cheated on this person, and, you know, and they'll have a little message like, you know, beauty's on the inside, you know, kind of like what goes around comes around, that sort of thing. Or like, if you're not with me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best, like, and then the story goes about that. But so they've had some videos where like there's someone who's racist on the plane, but then, you know, they move that person to first class and then leave, you know, the racist person in, you know, economy or whatever. And so when they moved that racist woman to first class, I was so mad. I was like, no, that was supposed to be Zainab. Like, I was just like so upset because I was just like, why isn't it like the Darman video? But I was like, and this is, you know, when was this written? In like 2019. So I was like, I would sure hope that in 5 years, like, and obviously this is a book, you know, it's fiction, but I was like, I would really hope that if this happened in real life, like, they would know to move Zainab, you know. But yeah, just videos, and I was just like, no, justice was not served.
I know. Oh.
So, also, this was around like the 68% mark where, so this is a shout out for Alicia, our other co-host. They gave the nickname for the character Alicia Leash, And I was like, Leash! Like, I've never heard an Alicia called Leash except for our Alicia. So I thought that was really fun. I was like, gotta give a shout out to Leash. I wonder if I could like find exactly where that was.
I don't remember that.
On page 233. Wait, I have to go. I'll take care of it. Stay safe. Love you, Leash. Leash was Auntie Nandi's nickname for Alicia.
Oh. Aw.
And I was like, Leash! What did you think about the whole like Marvels and Oddities thing? I thought that I liked that because that was like a clever thing that like I don't read in a lot of books, like something that kind of is like this constant throughout the chapters. That I thought that was kind of cute and clever, and that they each had theirs, but obviously Adam had his for a lot long. Right, Adam had his for longer. Or was it Zainab? I couldn't wait. Who had it for longer?
Oh, who had it for longer?
But
I liked it. I liked that addition. It was just another little like kind of thread of fate that I think she threw in there.
Mm-hmm. I like.
But it. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I like the Marvels and Oddities in general, and seeing what they considered Marvels and what were oddities, and like how much more of one than the other, and kind of as I expected, Zainab had more oddities than Marvels, and Adam had more Marvels, and I think that really goes to show like just how both of them kind of viewed the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
I found the article I mentioned.
Yay.
So it says Iranian women are burning their hijabs and cutting their hair short in protest over the death of Mahsa Amini, a young woman who died after being arrested in Tehran by Iran's notorious morality police, who enforced the country's rules on hijabs and other conservative Islamic modes of dress and behavior. Amini, 22, died on Friday in northern Tehran. She had been arrested on Tuesday, reportedly was taken to a hospital shortly afterward, suffered multiple blows to the head before she died. So her father says she was beaten to death in custody. So I'll put the link in the private chat, and you can add it to.
Yes.
The regular.
Thank you. When was that? When did
This was back in September 2022. So just 2 years ago.
That's really sad.
Yeah. Okay. Here's this link. I'll also put it in the description box as well for those watching the replay. Thank you for sharing that. Here, I was like, I gotta get back to the video. Wait. Okay, here we are. Okay, it's there. I will also click on this myself.
Oh.
And I remember hearing about that a little bit when it happened. And it's just like, as much as you know, Zainab and some women may find it empowering, I really have to wonder, like, those that find it empowering are probably from a country where they have that freedom to choose. I don't think if you were in a country where you didn't have the freedom to choose, it would feel so empowering.
Mm. Also, in this article, it says like Amini's family say officers beat her in the police van after her arrest, citing eyewitnesses who support that claim. Police reject the allegations, saying Amini died after being taken to a hospital because she had a heart attack, which is really frustrating. But thankfully, the president called Amini's family on Sunday to assure them her death would be investigated. Your daughter is like my own daughter, and I feel that this incident happened to one of my loved ones. And Iran's Chief Justice has also promised a full investigation. So,
Wow.
I'm glad that it escalates that, because I was like, if the police is just like, well, yeah, no, we're just wiping our hands of it. She died of a heart attack, and then it can just happen to someone else. So,
well, they say they're looking into it, but question is, do they really? If you go down a little bit further, it says laws that require women in Iran to cover their heads in public remain of concern, the UN said, adding that the morality police have recently stepped up street patrols. And that's probably due to all the protests at that time, and all the women, kind of taking off their hijab in protest.
Yeah, this article is really interesting. This is Iran's George Floyd moment. British Iranian actor said, drawing a parallel between demonstrators who want change in Iran and Americans who called for police reforms after Floyd's death in custody. Which really frustrating to know that, like, it's still happening, like, that's just so frustrating. Like, yeah, Sonia Massey in Illinois, that it was just killed for no reason. So it's frustrating that, like,
and
we can only do so much. We can only do so much.
Yeah. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm realizing one thing that probably would have made me like this book more is if we did get the nuance of it. And if we did see, more of that, not more of the balanced approach. Because obviously we know that there are many Muslims who are peaceful, nonviolent, like Adam, who, don't subscribe to an oppressive view of Islam. However, there are also plenty that do subscribe to an oppressive view, which is the same in all religion, whether Islam, Christianity, Judaism, whatever. You're always going to find those that subscribe to an oppressive view and who will interpret scripture and use it in a way to oppress others, and those that will do the exact opposite.
Very, very good point. Yes, I'm currently beta reading something where I was just seeing that from the Christian side of things. So I'm glad that you brought up that point.
Wow.
Well, are there any last thoughts, quotes or comments you want to discuss about Love from A to Z? Kind of ending on not a Debbie Downer moment, but it's obviously there's some tough things in this book.
I will end it on a kind of funny, lighthearted note. So one quote. This is probably the one quote in here that really made me laugh out loud. It's on page 255, the bottom of the page, where they say, "We were at Madison's place the other day. Emma C. and I stole her Coachella headdress and destroyed it. Emma P. announced proudly. She raised her eyebrows at Emma D., who looked confused. We didn't tell." Oh, okay. I had to reread that because I read that wrong the first time, which is why I thought it was hilarious. When they said, "We didn't tell you because we didn't want it to be on your Hufflepuff conscience. It involved some methods we Ravenclaws and Slytherins are familiar and comfortable with." And I thought they were saying that Zainab was a Hufflepuff. Because I was like, that is hilarious. There's no way. She's a Hufflepuff.
No.
Not at all. I think they ended up saying she was like Ravenclaw Slytherin or something.
Yeah. Or Gryffindor.
I was
Gryffindor.
I was going to say Griffin or Slytherin. Yeah. Totally. Yes.
Yeah.
I just love that the Emmas, they had three of them, so they had to go by their last name, like last initial.
I guess I misread that. Now that I read it back, they were saying that about one of the Emmas, and I thought it was about.
Oh, got it. I did have one of the quotes, so I'm like, yeah, I think that's why Adam really carried the story for me, so I feel like that's why I rated it higher, because from the very beginning he was like, for me it takes at least 4 times being around someone. I like to let things unfold, so I rarely rely on first impression. I'm generally a 4 impressions kind of guy. And so I was just like, I like you. Yeah. My head is Adam.
Yeah, I did like Adam.
I did like him too.
So
yeah,
that was cute. Well, thank you for joining us for discussing our July Disability Pride Month pick, Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. If you're watching the replay, make sure you put in your thoughts, feels, and opinions in the comments, and then join us for this month, August, for our next book pick, which is It Waits in the Forest by Sarah Dapp. It looks so good.
It looks really good.
Yes, magic murder and myth collide in Sarah Dass's wickedly delectable thriller that will have you looking over your shoulder to make sure nothing followed you out of the forest. Sounds really, really good. So
Rosie Brown's quote.
It is Rosie Brown's quote. Oh, Rosie, one of my favorite authors.
Back to a genre I like.
Yeah, yeah, we had a little bit of romantic contemporaries going on for a while, but we have got our fantasy thriller. Yeah, looking forward to reading this. So please join us. Head over to the Goodreads group. You can put in your thoughts as you're reading in the forums, or hold it close to your chest like we do, and then you can voice all the opinions either way at the end in early September. So Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we will see you next month. Bye, everyone.
Bye.